Next, I'd like to demonstrate some of the basic fundamental drills that you can enhance the concept of Cham Kiu, such as mobility, coordinations, and the power. Strike without motion, without mobility is not much of a strike. Okay? Even today, we know one guy's got mobility is normally a better fighter than a guy who cannot move. So let's use some of the punching techniques, a hand technique, combined with the mobility of footwork to demonstrate some of the drills that you can practice. First one, straight punch. Idea is to develop coordination, okay, and understanding the proper structure, where you're making contacts, okay, straight wrist, elbow down. Okay, so you can do sets of hundreds, okay. On average, a professional boxer, they do about 20,000 punch per training. So if we martial artists train as intense, then hey, that's what we need. Okay, so you must drill the technique that you learn from the form, not just by practicing the forms. So you can do punches. Okay, depends on your level that you practice, you can upgrade your intensities. Okay, now we're going to the Cham Kiu stances. Okay, we have what we call right stance, left stance. So you can practice along with that. Okay, right stance, left stance. Okay, what this gives you is extended distance and more torque into your punch. Okay, so in addition to the turning stance, the side stance, then you have a bracing stance. Okay, let's do an example for outside bracing. Okay, so you step out, brace, step out, brace. Okay, you can imagine you are lopping your opponents. Lop, da, lop, da, lop, da, lop, da. So some of the footwork you can do. And also you can do the inside. Inside bracing. Inside bracing. So a drill can help you to refine some of the attributes you develop in the form. Timing, okay? Actually feeling the energy you are developing, okay? How about moving along straight? A simple exercise would be Big Ma. Okay, you can set a certain rhythm, 1 step, 3 punch, or 1 step, 1 punch. Okay, beginners, let's start with 1 step, 1 punch. Okay, or you can advance into 3 punches. Follow with a Big Ma, you can do Biu Ma. Okay? So if your opponent is retreating, you want to catch him up. You want to catch, so you can take a bigger step. So let's watch that again. So you can keep up with the distance on target. Kicking will give you the extension of the legs, okay, which will create a distance advantage. And also power. Okay, our legs are normally much stronger than the hands. So those two are the advantages. But there's a disadvantage. Okay, we humans stand on 2 legs. So as soon as you pick up 1 leg to kick, you basically distorted your balance. So therefore, one of the first ability you got to have is balance. So one of the basic exercises could help you just develop balance. So ability to just kick without losing the balance. Okay, so you can use your partner as a distance. Okay, once you have that capability, then actually release your power. Okay, without affecting. So if you kick like this, then you lose your balance. Then in essence, that kick will hurt you because you lose your balance after you deal with kick. So you must have control of your balance. So one of the first drill you do, step to the center, find your balance, kick, maintain structure, come down, then do the other side. Step, kick. Okay? Step, kick. Step, kick. Step, kick. Okay? You're stepping to your center. Kicking is very important, okay? But still, just like the hands, you must have the ability to kick on the move. Not stop and pick up your foot and kick. By then, the opponent is somewhere else already. So all the abilities teach you how to move and strike, move and kick same time. So same thing. You try to move and kick. Move, kick. Move, kick. Okay? So give you some ability. If your structure is going the opposite way than your target, then the problem would be created like this. You have no balance. Okay? So again, if you're going to kick that way, your energy, your structure have to go that way. So again, you'll see how this footwork's been applied. Okay? So I didn't lose any momentum going back. So one way to develop that is go ahead, do it exactly like the form. Let's say he comes in. You don't want to do this. Okay? Okay, everything is under control. You kick and finish exactly where you started. Back here. Okay? So some of the kicking drills you can do, including the moving, kick. He can charge in, kick. It's a way to find out if you have the Cham Kiu body structures. This concludes the Cham Kiu tape, which is basically a reference for the skill at intermediate level of Wing Tsun system. Intermediate level is what we call application stage. Okay, at this stage, you should be able to start to apply some of your Gong Fu. Next series of tape I'd like to demonstrate will be the Chi Sao equivalent of this intermediate level. I want to say thank you for my assistant, Jeremy, and also hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. Welcome to the tape 4 on the Yip Man Wing Tsun series. Tape 3 dealing with the Cham Kiu form. Tape 4 is the Chi Sao equivalent of the Cham Kiu level, which is what we call the intermediate Chi Sao. I'd like to introduce my assistant, Jeremy Rorick. He's been helping me with the previous series. This series of Chi Sao dealing with the fundamental, the essence of Chi Sao, which we're going to break it into what we call Lok Sao, Jip Sao, Zao Sao, Dan Da, and Toi Ma. Lok Sao, literal translation, means rolling. Ability to apply your structure and to deal with the incoming energy, Lok Sao. So that's the foundation. And second is Jip Sao, means catching hand, maintaining your proper structure on the center line. And then Zao Sao, when your energy is being forced away from center, how you recover that. And then ultimately, when you have a good structure dealing with proper energy, then you go into the basic single-handed strike called Dan Da, indoor hand and outdoor hand. And last, when you put everything together with the correct body structures, that's called Toi Ma. The first step of Chi Sao is dealing with, again, proper positions of Tan Bong Fuk. Pun Sao, dealing with proper positions, relationship to Tan Bong Fuk. Now, Lok Sao, you're going to continue to put the motion into it, but with proper energy. So energy is one of the hardest part of training, because it's something that you have to feel rather than just something that you can just see and look, especially in this type of format. From the Pun Sao perspective, we have Tan, Bong, and Fuk Sao. So once you understand the platform of rolling, so reality is that application, you must learn how to deal with energy. Now, how do you deal with energy using Tan Bong Fuk? The motion of rolling here is not for the sake of rolling. It's dealing with how do you deal with incoming energy. For example, the first sequence of rolling dealing with a high Fuk into a low Fuk, from Bong Sao into Tan Sao. Okay? Now, why do we go in that particular order is because, in essence, if he applies some structure or energy coming to my bong sao, okay, how do I deal with that? I can push forward, which means, in essence, energy against energy. So that's force against force. If I'm bigger, I win. But if he's stronger, I lose. So therefore, Wing Chun, we have also a soft way, which means that we don't fight with force. So if he apply energy forward, I simply change into Tan Sao. So what I have done is redirected or dissolve his energy. That is what Tan Sao means, to dissipate, to spread out. So any type of energy comes forward, Tan. If he overexert his energy, not only that gonna become an opportunity for me, see, now he can lean forward, which creates an opening. So the purpose of rolling from high Fuk Sao to low Fuk Sao is to train from Bong to Tan. Okay? Now, this is something you cannot see. You cannot see how much energy. So this is something you have to feel. So one of the exercises you do is first have partner A, Jeremy, is giving me 4 energy. Then I want to be able to harmonize that to meet that energy until I no longer can hold it. Then I simply change position from Bong to Tan. Now let's look at the other side. Same thing, I'm not going to fight it. I'm going to try to go with the energy. So to be efficient, okay, going forward would be force against force because the energy is coming forward. So I would be changing the angle of the force by going down. So the harder he push, very easy for me to take advantage of that without using excessive force. So simply, if I sense energy going forward, I go down. Okay? Of course, within this, he also developed his reflex. So as I go down, he changed into Tan Sao. So you see both partners actually moving according to the proper energy. Again, from Bong he pushed forward, I dropped to Fuk, which he changed to Tan. Okay? So this area you must understand. So if I give him energy from my right Bong Sao, I push forward, then naturally he's going to change to low. Then I find that center line back again, so I have to change to Tan Sao. So in order to be harmonizing, then this side have to be rotating along with, okay, so if we are discussing energy from my right Bong Sao, okay, as he pushed forward, then I drop to 10, and this side also changed along with it, okay? So because you cannot just have one side move and the other side don't move, okay? So at this basic level, you need to keep the platform correct. So one's go up, the other comes down. Okay, so we continue what we call a circle of energies. Okay, so you try to find a balance there. So in realms of understanding Luk Sao, you must talk about energy. That is what we mean. You're harmonizing your energy. He push forward, I go down, and this hand comes up. Now if I push forward, and he rolls. So right now my Fuk Sao push forward, he roll. His Fuk Sao push forward, I roll. So you can start understanding the mechanics, why we do rolling hand. This is called Luk Sao. Okay? So there are some of conditions. Let's break it down. Fuk Sao push, Bong to Tan. Bong Sao push, high Fuk to low Fuk. Then I change to Tan. Okay? From the other side, if I go, okay, from a Tan to low Fuk, if I go forward, then he jut. That would be the proper response. Okay? So that is looking at Chi Sao from an energy perspective. Okay? Now, give you an example. If we roll, my hand dropped, this is not an energy problem. This is positional problem. Now this hand is too low. So which give him the criteria, okay? Give him the condition to hit me. Therefore, he hit me because I opening up. Okay? So you could get hit based on your bad position. Okay? Same thing if my roll and my elbow's way out, then this door is open, so he's going to let me know. Okay? Based on the center line, my center line is off. So therefore, he hits me. And those are examples of bad position. So result is that you get hit. Now, dealing with Luk Sao, now you take it up to a different level. Okay? Luk Sao is that you look at the condition of getting hit or being hit from the energy perspective. Okay? If I touch somebody's hands and it's totally soft and totally limb, what kind of martial art technique is that? It's limb. Okay? Relax doesn't mean it's limb. Okay? you have to have structure behind it. It's not dead energy. So the structure is coming from proper positions. Okay, so when we roll dealing with energies, okay, if I feel that his hand have no energy, then I can just take away his hand and hit him because no energy. If there's no energy here, I can just jet it down and punch. Okay, because it's not harmonized energy-wise. So I can strike him based on energy. Or if I feel that he has too much energy, right now he's expanding his energy. He's using tension. Well, that's fine because energy is too much, becomes excessive. So I can take advantage of that, which affects his whole body. So you don't want to have too much energy or too little energy. So energy part is much harder to master than certain positions. So by having energy, then you start to really understand if you have a good position. But only when you put the proper energy in, then you understand if you have a good position or not. So as we start rolling, okay, I start feeling his energy. If you give me more energy here, I will respond to it. If you give me energy here, okay, I will respond to it. If I give him energy here, he will respond to it. Basically, it looks out provide you two reasons for striking opponents. One, that if his position is bad, hands not on the center line, okay, elbow is being jammed, or too high or too low, okay, those are position problems. So you have an opportunity to hit. Second is based on his energy. Too much energy, too little energy. So that's why with looks out, looks very simple, but actually this is foundation for all the strikes. So as an instructor training the students, you must have proper positions. By correcting your student's position, then you must provide him with the energy so he can respond properly. Okay, I'm giving him energy with my focus out, so he roll. Okay, he's got it. So I give him energy on the bounce out. Okay, he roll, he's got it. If I goes forward with my tans out, he jet. Okay, so right now he can respond without thinking. So because of the proper energy I provided. So looks out provide the platform for future techniques. Okay, next we'd like to move in jib sao. Jib in Cantonese means to catch. Now what are we catching here? It's when we changed from the outdoor hand going into indoor hand, then we have to change position. Okay? So the purpose is not just, okay, well, we roll and roll for 2 hours, so we got tired, so we must change. No, that's not the main reason, okay? For me to leave the center line, to go back to the center line, is to train if his energy and his position stay inconsistent on the center, okay? In Wing Tsun, we have a saying, don't chase after the hands. So if I drop my hands, if his energy is going down, his energy is going to go down. That proves that his energy is not going in the right directions, okay? Now, if my tan sao's energy is going out, okay, and then when he take his foot away, then my hand's going to go out. So those are conditions where you can actually see that your energy is not going the right direction. So where you want your energy to go? To the center, okay? So all the energy is going towards the center. So when I, as a instructor that training his hands, I want to make sure his structure and energy is going in the right direction. So as I take my hand off, his energy should be able to relax and stay on the center line rather than chasing after my hands like this, dropping it. Okay? So as I drop my hand, his hand stays on center line, so he's responding to proper energy by relaxing it. And then I'm going to hit back, and also this is opportunities for me to test if his structure is strong or not. Because if I run and hit, if I hit and his hands go all over the place, again, there's not enough energy there. Okay, so a way to check that is what we call jib sao. So he is actually catching the incoming energy. So he has to learn how to deal with that. So from fuk sao going to tan sao. From fuk sao going to tan sao. From tan sao going to fuk sao. Now, me doing the running, he's doing the catching. So I provide him with structure so he can catch with. So my hand is a structure, and I'm providing him with energy. As we roll, I can change, and he plays catch. Now you notice the timing factor. As I run, the last second, he changed. Because as soon as I run and then he changed the technique, that means it's already, telegraphic. He committed a technique without the proper timing. It's too early. So you must also take into account the proper timing. Catching, 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 catching. So at this stage of catching jips out, you primarily learn how to stay at the center line and be able to let go of the energy when there's no need for you to apply excessive energy. Again, if he forced my hand down, naturally your energy have to equalize that by going up. So this could be a trap, but he could let go. If he let go, my hands bounce up. That proves my energy is wrong. So my energy also has to be able to, if he let go, my energy got to let go. So I'm not going to be trapped by his energy. So if he presses down, my elbow holds that in position. If he let go, I'm relaxed too. So I'm not going to be overcommitting. If you overcommit, that's going to happen to you. So that's excessive in energy. So that's why first step is make sure your hand stays. So you learn how to relax, which is an attribute you should already have from the sitting Tao. Now you are really testing if you have the proper structure, because I'm actually providing you with the energy that's coming towards your bridge. The second phase into jips out is that when I let go, he's not going to stay there anymore. We've been training that his hand stays on the center. Now he must provide the proper energy by going forward. We call lat sao zik chung, hands off, thrust forward. Because at the basic stage, if I let go of the hand and your hand stays, then there's a time delay because you lost the opportunity because I opened up myself. He should have a chance to hit me. So therefore, now he moved into the second progression. When I let go of his hand had to thrust forward. That tells me he's responding with proper timing, with the proper energy flow, which is going back to the center line. So now when I run, he's going to go forward. Then I catch, then he's going to catch. So I deliberately to check if his hands are responding with the proper forward energy. So every time you see I let go, he responds with the forward energy by letting go of his energy towards my center. So this consists of what we call jips out. Once you have basic idea, understand, which is maintaining your center and then projecting the energy forward, then you can go into a little bit more lively expression. Now I'm really applying a lot of energy to develop his structure. You see, the little space I let go, he had the room to go forward. That means his center is good and his energy is proper. His energy didn't chase after my hands. So you can see this is the reinforcements of basic rolling, not just roll, but now from inside to outside, you are also learning how to respond with this. Okay, let's continue with the next progression, which is zao sao. Zao in Cantonese means to walk. In essence, we call it running hand. Now that you are being forced away from the center, so you're not going to meet that energy head on. So therefore, you take a better position. We call it running hand. So let's see how it works. Before, I deliberately take my hand off to train Jeremy's catching hand. Now that he's going to force my hand, such as the tan sao, forcing him my hands out. So because he's going away from his center line, I don't want to stay with him in a bad position. So I want to run back to my good position. So therefore, again, we don't want to chase after the hand, especially if you have a bad hand, the energy is going away from the center. So as he's pressing my hand down, so there's no need for me to stick because it's going away from my center. So therefore, I'm going to run back to my center line. We call this running hand. So I can, as an instructor, provide that stimulus so you train him not to stick or to chase after my bad energy. So from here, I push out, so he run back. Then I'll go back. I can push down, he run back. So always using the center line. Okay? So you train your hand not to run away from center, not to chase after the bad position. Okay? Because a lot of time when we use the technique, if a bad strike is coming over this way, it would be a mistake for him to go out here and block it. It would be much efficient if he would have just hit me right here. Okay? So you don't want to chase after the hands. So same idea here. So as I'm training him, I force his hand away. We call this running. Okay? He can force my hand out, I run. I run. Notice where I run to is back to center line. Okay? That's the basic progression. Now, second progression, now this is where both partners are working on something. Okay? For example, if I run, if he runs, then also he's forcing me to catch. So I'm going to force him out of center, but also I'm going to learn how to recover my center. So actually I'm doing both running and catching. So I'm forcing him to run so I can catch. I'm forcing him to run so I can catch. I'm forcing him to run, I can catch. So vice versa, he can force me to run, but at the same time, he also have to develop catching. So it's both sides working on something. So he's forcing my hand to run. I'm going to hit back to the center. That's the quickest way to go back to center. So therefore, force him to catch again. So now it's both running and catching. 找手接手. Okay, you see a double run there. So everything is based on the center and the proper energy. So if I force him and then I cut his center again, then he might have to do a double run. Okay? So at this stage, it's developing proper reactions. So he runs, I catch. Oh, I run again, then I catch again. Okay, so the motion could be very fast based on individual attributes. Okay, so we call this 倒手接手. Now what we have done is 碌手, 接手, 走手. Okay. Now let's look at 單打. Basically, 單打what we call single-handed strike. You can strike from the inside or strike from the outside. Okay. This not only introduces the basic hand strike, but also putting all the previous exercise together. Okay. So as we roll, I find that his tansao is too low. So allow me to challenge him by me throwing a punch. This is called outdoor single punch. Okay, let's watch it from this hand. So if his tansao too low, I can challenge him, punch him. Because as I punch him, his structure is too low. He have no leverage to recover. So therefore, I have the proper condition to punch him. Okay, so as we roll, we try to find the distortion in each other's center line. Again, if my tansao too low, he can punch. Okay, so this has been an outdoor strike, straight punch. Okay, vice versa, you have an indoor hand, tansao. So suddenly, if his elbow out of the center, or I feel the energy is too weak, then allow me to do a palm strike indoor. Okay, so from a foot, you can punch. From the tan, you can palm. Okay, let's generally demonstrate. From foot, you can punch. From tan, you can palm. So we call indoor palm, outdoor punch. So we call danda. Because why it's called danda, single hand strike? As one hand strikes, the other hand is maintain control, maintaining the same stationary positions. Okay, because you don't want to strike and this hand goes bad. Okay, so one hand in essence is to support. Me controlling Jeremy's bong sao, so I have the proper structure to hit him when his other hand is in a bad position. So we train basic one-handed strikes, okay, based on each other's distortion. So for instructor, I can deliberately create a mistake. Oh, I open up my elbow, so he strikes. Oh, my tans are too low, strike. So this is basic conditioning. Again, allow you to reach to a stage where you can have an instant reflex rather than have to think about it or have to look at it. So as you roll, he opens up, okay? Or I can force him out, and because now we are introduced with a strike, he no longer just hit the center line or go to the empty space. He actually have to make contact now because now he is being introduced with basic strikes. So as my hands goes bad, I force him out, he actually hits me. Okay, so you're closer to the reality of applying your technique. Okay, same thing. I can punch, and he overreact with the tans are going away, then I can run back and palm strike him. Let's look at that again. Okay, so as I palm strike, he juts. So now I'm not going to chase after a downward motion. I'm going to continue to hit him by doing a run. So now you can see how running and catching actually is to train to support your single-handed strikes. Later on, you will have an unstoppable single-handed strike. Okay, watch. As I palm strike him, he jut, I run. So it's like you have a backup system. Okay. Now again, everything is based on previously what you've been training for. We roll, both partners have good position, but suddenly his hands become weak. He drops his hand, so I strike him. Boom. But if he's good, he will recover by tan. But if he overshoot his tan, so I run again and I sit him. I palm strike. So either way, I will hit him. So this type of progression allows you to have a simple strike, which is unstoppable. Okay? Okay. So far, what you're seeing is pretty static. We don't move. Okay? So you actually develop a basic foundation. It's just like ceiling tile. Okay? But the dynamic, the reality of combat is all about motion. So now the last stage, dealing with putting the footwork of Cham Kiu into your strike. So we go back to Lok Sao. I can go back and go forward. Okay? So if he comes forward, I can reabsorb his energy. So right now it's like a dance. We're maintaining certain space. But again, it's using body to find his weakness through the motions. Okay? You see his foot sao, and my foot sao can hit him because his tan sao drop. Okay? Because once the momentum being created, if you can move and still maintain your center, then you have it. Okay? Next level, same thing. I can put everything together. I feel a center line open. I strike him. Okay? So strike, you always have to have support of the leg. You cannot just hit him. You must strike with the body. That means my foot have to support my hand. So a realistic hit is done with the footwork. Okay? This is start to move. Those are some of the movement you can put back to the exercise. Okay, now you have seen some of the logic progression for this series of Chi Sao. Okay, the purpose behind the exercise. Okay, important thing is that you actually put the time into your training. So now me and Jeremy is going to have some fun. We're going to do some of the basic training based on what we went over, from Lok Sao to Jip Sao, Zao Sao to the Dan Da, the single-handed strike, along with the horse. Okay? Okay, let's break down. If I throw a strike, he juts. I can run. That's the benefit of running him. If he runs, I can let out the Chun. So you start to see how everything put together. Okay, everything go back to the foundation. Now let's look at the benefits of Luxao from dissolving the energy point of view, ability to redirect the energy. So this time, Jeremy is going to try to hit me, and I will only roll hands to dissolve his energy. So every time I shut him down by taking away his center and redirect his energy. Jut. Calm. Okay? Again, his hands way outside of his center. So I have advantage. And I'm keeping my center occupied. Okay? Ability to function at this level is basic structure what you are searching for the Cham Kiu. So that's why this level of exercise give you the core Qi Sao exercise, which further enhance your ability to use your Wen Chen Gong Fu with proper structure of the body. Okay, you notice that we call a single-handed strike. Again, this is basic introduction of Qi Sao. In essence, you can use both hands to strike, okay? But you must master or have proficiency in the body mechanics within the bridge of your own body, called that searching the bridge, okay? Another factor is that if you look at this is the mid part. How come I have not hit his face? How come I don't use the kicks? Okay, again, because this is still developmental stage. At the further development into the BUG, which is thrusting fingers, then you're dealing with more advanced applications, which means as a combat system, you got to have ability to attack the higher gate, the middle gate, as well as the low kicks. So advanced Qi Sao dealing with attacking upper gate, middle gate, as well as kicking to the lower gates. But for now, dealing with Cham Kiu Qi Sao, important thing is based on Luxao, ability to dissolve energy, ability to take your center line away, and provided that you maintain your own bridge. Let's watch a few more minutes. So we both sides can go. Now I'd like to go into Toima a little bit more in depth. Okay, so Toima is important because you start putting the body structures involving greater energy into the hands. So you must have a proper understanding of distance maintenance, maintaining certain structures, as well as the ability to use your body behind the hands. So Toima, first progression, you have a senior and a junior relationship. Okay, so as a senior, I'm going to push Jeremy. So as I'm pushing, he's simply maintaining his structures. As I'm pulling him, he does the same. So as we're doing a little bit more realistic, more energy, you see, as I increase the energy, his hands might collapse, or he might create too far of a distance. If I step forward, he step back too far. Okay, So there's a distance problem. So his whole objective is maintain balance and maintain a proper distance. Okay? So as I'm training him, I'm working on pushing. I'm pushing him with my bridge, not with a push of the hands. Okay? So I'm transferring my body energy into my bridge and through his body. Same thing. You gotta have ability to draw his energy back. Okay? So this is the first basic detail on the progression by maintaining proper balance and distance. Okay? Now once he have that awareness, then he must also have a chance to learn his pushing. So now he does the same to the partner again. So as Jeremy push, I maintain a certain distance. Okay, maintain my structures. He's going to push me, so I'm not going to be losing my structures. Okay? I'm not going to be collapsing here. Okay? This is a very important point. When you go out and do your forms, we always maintain these structures. Okay? Why? If you're going to use your hand to strike, you must maintain certain distance. If he grabs my elbow, okay, and when I have a distance, I can always deal with that. But once he pushes my hand where I'm jammed, then only thing I can do is commit to wrestling, or commit to grappling, or commit to throwing. So Wing Chun, we want to maintain a distance where you can do everything. Okay, so if you collapse your elbows, you can no longer strike. So that's why at this stage of a game, you got to maintain your elbow positions, maintain your body structures. So as he's coming in with the energy, I change positions, but I did not sacrifice my structure. So that's very important. So as you can see, as his energy is coming towards me, I'm simply redirecting it so I can maintain my structure as well as my space. So now you're giving the ability to really understand balance and ability to move. Okay, so you have two of the most important elements for combat applications: balance, stability, and mobility. For summary, I'd like to point out really in realms of application. Now you're having the capability of using some of the basic tools of Wing Chun. Okay, now you already learn how to move. Okay, you have some offensive, defensive concept, ability to move. Okay, you have to look at it from the concept of really applications. Okay, in realms of applications, you have to understand the distance awareness. Okay, most of the system, they specialize in certain distance. Okay, let's look at Wing Chun. Why does people think Wing Chun is close-range art? Okay, it's not that we like it close range, because Wing Chun is dealing with combat, and combat is dealing with realities. Okay, if you look at the distance, right now we are not in a combat distance. Why? If you look at it, there's no way I can hit him. So we are actually outside of a combat distance. Okay, so this is really outside of what we call combat space. So at this stage, I'm aware of that. But if I move, such as a good kicker in Taekwondo, okay, a little half a step, then I already come into what we call combat distance. But combat distance, you have kicking, striking, trapping, and grabbing and throwing distance. So maybe if he's not a kicker, he might not aware of that I already have a long weapon that I can kick him with. Okay, my longest weapon in this case is my back foot. So this would become my weapons. So at this stage, he's already in the combat zone. So you must totally be aware of this distance. Because if you fight with a certain style, okay, and you only train with your own people and you have no reality of what other people does, so you have no reality of distance, then you're already at a disadvantage. So that's why we like to analyze why Wing Chun prefer to fight inside rather than outside. Okay. Now, even though I have the longest distance with the back foot, but from a long distance point of view, it will create longer time. Second, it's only one technique is available to you. okay, which is the back foot. So that means as a combat system, you have to take longer time to go in there, and you can only apply one technique at a time. So at this distance, there's not much you can do except kick the guy with the back foot, or kick him with the front foot with the footwork. Okay, so that is the reality of long distance. Okay, so reality, if you're going to engage with your opponents, you're going to have to use everything. Now, for you to use everything, you cannot just stay at a kicking distance. If some guys really want to hurt you, he's going to come in. Okay, or you're not going to stay just at what we call short kicking range. So we have long kicking range. Okay, now we have short kicking range. Short kicking range is where your front foot can hit your opponents. That's short kicking range. And also, short kicking range is equivalent to long striking range. Okay, so long strike, short kicks is the same range. Okay, now as you move closer, you see that your option for combat start to increase. Before, I can only kick him. Now, okay, I'm at a short kicking distance. I can continue to kick him, but I can strike him. I can kick him with both feet now, but I can only strike him one hand at a time. Okay, so as distance increases, you have less option. As distance decreases, you give him more option. Okay, so from long distance into short kicking, into long striking. Now we move into what we call Wing Tsun striking zone. Wing Tsun striking zone is what we call close range striking. Close range strike is where both my hand can hit. If both my hand can hit, I can kick him both feet. If both feet can hit, I'm close enough to grab him. So right now at this reality, you have maximum variable tools. You can grab, you can kick, you can strike, okay, block. You can trap, you can knee, you can sweep. So reality happens right here, okay? If you're dealing with some guy who really want to hurt you, he's going to come in and hurt you. So you must feel comfortable at this range. And it's at this range, all your tools of combat is available. Okay, now if you go inside of this, where you're dealing with grapplings, you're dealing with some kind of wrestling, then again, you're going back to less option. At that particular time, you can only sweep, grab. Okay, the strikes become less efficient. Certainly, you're going to have a problem with kicking. So it's at the Wing Tsun distance, we call short striking distance. Sometimes we call it a trapping range. Is where your kicks, your strike, your trap, and your grab is available to you. So that's why Qisao is at this range. Our techniques is based on efficiency in space because we don't need to really fully extend. Okay? So if he gave me a really fully extended technique, it's very important to understand he is actually increasing his chance of being counterattacked. So by understanding the basic reality of different stages of distance, then this kind of gives you an idea of why do we need Cham Kiu. Because Cham Kiu gives you the footwork, learn how to move, provided that you have the same body structure of Siu Tao, which is maximum efficiency dealing with human combat based on 2 hands and 2 feet. For conclusion, I want to use this opportunity to have Jeremy have an opportunity to speak about his experience and have a few words of wisdom based on the stuff that we mentioned in the videos.
Thank you, sir. Okay, so we've covered in the last 4 tapes Siu Tao exercises, Cham Kiu, and the Cham Kiu exercises. So there's 2 key things I want to bring out as being important when you're training. And it comes from my experience and my experience with my classmates. The first is thinking about the progression in terms of training. When you begin in Siu Tao, you're taught one thing at a time. So you see each piece that you're taught as individual and separate. For example, you begin your form, first thing you learn how to do is stand, and then raise my arms, okay, that's one thing, okay? And then put them away, okay, good, that's 2. Okay, open up, 1, 2, push the hip forward, 1, okay? Now, hands down, hands up, bring it back. So when you begin your training, you see everything is distinct and everything is separate. So you can imagine you're going to learn 4 things. You see each one is separate. But as your Kung Fu grows and as you begin to get more experience, you go on, you learn the second section. So I'm going to turn my hand over and I'm going to release power. But to release it and release it well, I've got to use my elbow and I've got to use my wrist. I've got to use these 2 things that are separate, but they have to behave like one thing. So you can think of it, you've got these 2 separate pieces, but through training you learn how to make them one. So your Kung Fu, instead of being separate, it gets stronger because you've integrated those 2 pieces. So now you only see them as one thing. So whenever I put my hand out, I know it's 2 pieces working together. Same when I begin this form. Now that I've done the second section, I can see a new way to play this, that really it's my wrist and my elbow, or it's my elbow and my shoulder working together to get my power into the punch. So my Kung Fu changes. Now instead of 4 separate things, I see 3 things. The 2 plus 2 separate things. So then when you get to the third section of Student Tao, you learn how to put your hand out, but at an angle, and go back to center, again at an angle. So you see how you have the elbow, you have the wrist, 2 separate pieces, but you know they're one thing, but now you're moving in a larger arena. It's not just one direction. You're thinking about how to move your hand, how to maintain energy, so you're doing a lot more than just one thing. But really, you're still only learning 2 things. The 2 that you already know, which are now one thing, meaning the wrist and the elbow, how they work together, and now you're adding in how to use angles. So you're only learning, integrating 2 pieces. Put that together, now your Kung Fu is even stronger. And to an outsider, it might look like 4 separate things, but for you, it's only 2 things again. One really big thing, and one separate thing, which is your new piece of information. So as you progress through your training, you can see that all the exercises build on each other, but they don't just prepare you for the next. They make your previous exercises, your previous skills better as well, because a higher level of Kung Fu requires all of your foundation to get better, as well as prepare you to learn more things. So if you approach your training from that point of view, it'll make it a lot better. Your Kung Fu will grow as you progress, rather than just being a linear progression of pieces. You'll actually be building a triangle shape, where the foundation gets wider the higher you go. The foundation has to be wider to support the very top. In Cham Kiu, it's no longer 2 things work as one.